Watch your tone. That sentence cracked more than the quiet of a plane cabin. It cracked my son's jaw, and it cracked something in me I had been saving for emergencies only. My name is Marcus Hart, and if you stick with me, I'll tell you exactly how a 10-year-old boy asked for apple juice. A man in a uniform chose violence, and a federal judge in 1A decided to stand up before the wheels even touched the ground. Keon was in seat 2B with the silver unaccompanied minor tag resting on his hoodie, feet not quite reaching the floor, fingers worrying the corner of a coloring book like it was a steering wheel. He is polite by nature, not performance. Please and thank you are who he is, not what he performs. The menu in the seat pocket said apple juice in clean letters, so he said in that soft voice that still kills me, "May I have an apple juice, please?" The flight attendant, nameplate read Clark Denham, jaw set like a hinge uniform crisp, said, "We're out." Keon glanced at the laminated card and pointed not in a gotcha way, just reading, "The menu says you have it." That's when Clark leaned in and let the line fall like a dropped blade. Watch your tone. You know that moment when air changes weight? The hum of the engines is the same, the cabin lights are the same, and yet the whole space feels like it tilts a few degrees. Yeah, that happened. A younger attendant slid by, eyes down. A passenger across the aisle angled his phone low, and the woman in 1A, Judge Marcel Durham, though I didn't know that name yet, lifted her eyes from a tablet and measured the whole scene in 3 seconds. Keon said I wasn't being rude. Clark set his feet shoulder tight, hand flexed. Then the punch. Quick, ugly, deliberate. Knuckles on bone, a small head snapping to the side, the soft clink of the UM tag against the tray table. The sound that came out of my boy wasn't a scream, just a small broken whimper humans make when pain starts fast and doesn't ask permission. Silence swallowed the row, then gasps spilled over it. Judge Durham stood, not with heat, just with authority, and said to the young attendant, "Call medical now. Secure the cabin. No drama, no pleas, no rank." But the order in her voice made the floor steady again. I got the call while walking out of a client site at Harbor City Sun, bright and useless. Stabilized observation, suspected fracture. The words hospitals use when they are being careful, because you are the one who can't be. I drove with my hands at 10 and 2, and every red light felt like an insult. Room 3B smelled like antiseptic and coffee someone made at 3 a.m. and forgot. Keon looked smaller than he has since he was born, bandage along his jaw, Ava taped, neat eyes searching for me before the world came back into focus. He squeezed my finger. I didn't say it's going to be okay, because what does that even mean in that moment? I said, "I'm here, buddy. Tell me what you need." A hospital liaison asked if I wanted to see a video. No sane father wants that. I watched it anyway. The angle was perfect by accident. Clark's square stance, Keon's careful posture, the fist that formed before anything else moved. I watched once. I watched again. The first time is shock, the second time is strategy. People think rage is fire. Mine is an engine. You fuel it, you drive it. You do not let it swerve. Here's the thing about systems. They prefer stories that end at the gate. Clark's first statement in a gray room sounded like a script. He startled me. The kid waved his arms near my face. I reacted on instinct. I didn't intend harm. Instinct is the fig leaf of men who practice their bad choices. I made phone calls. Maya, who knows how to draw motion maps from shaky video and turn feelings into frames. Lionel and Caleb, engineers who can find a memo the system pretended never existed. Jason Red, a former lead attendant with a memory and a spine. Within 24 hours, the pattern showed up like fingerprints on glass. An 18-month-old complaint about Clark yelling at a special needs kid, filed under conduct review, then quietly erased. A crew memo softened from threat to miscommunication. A 2018 handwritten passenger complaint, a teenage boy shoved back into his seat hard enough to leave a scar, preserved only because Jason printed it before it vanished from the system. Families who took travel vouchers because they thought that was procedure, not payoff. And while we worked, Judge Durham did the thing people with real power do. She spoke briefly and exactly. "I was in 1A, she said to airport security. The child was polite. The strike was unprovoked. That word, unprovoked, will change the angle of a whole room." Aerovista's statement said, "The thing every airline says when they hope time will do their job. We are looking into the matter. Passenger safety is our priority. If I had a nickel for every time I've heard that tone used to dodge responsibility, I could bail out their PR team and never look back." The video leaked. We didn't push it, but the moment a bystander sends footage to a local station, the story steps onto a sidewalk and starts walking on its own. Public anger is a flood. It feels righteous, but it doesn't steer itself. So we steered with facts. The defense hired a body language expert with silver frames and a steady baritone to say the words, "pre-reflexive startle response." He gave the jury a vocabulary that made aggression sound like physics. The prosecutor rolled our motion analysis. Simple overlay dots on shoulders and wrists, timestamps in the corner. We slowed it. You could see Clark square up, fist tighten, weight shift, then the strike. Not a flinch. A decision. The twist hit 3 days before trial. A whistleblower using the alias Cabin Truth dropped internal emails to 3 outlets and the court. One line read like a dog whistle, amplified by a megaphone. They always think they can talk back if they're young and entitled, especially that kind. That kind. People heard exactly what it meant. Protests formed outside Aerovista headquarters. Signs said, "Protect our kids," and also, "We know what you mean." Inside reputational triage failed because the wound was honesty. And yet in court they still tried to shrink us. Angry dad opportunist looking for a check. I wore the same gray suit every day and saved my voice. Optics matter. If you want truth to land, you cannot be the loudest thing in the room. Keon took the stand for 3 questions. "Mr. Hart, did you touch Mr. Denham before he hit you?" "No." "Did you say anything threatening to him?" "No." "What did he say right before he hit you?" My son swallowed, held the rail, found me with his eyes, and said, he said, "Let's see you talk now." The room exhaled and no one breathed for a full beat after. The body language expert deflated without moving. The defense looked at their notes like maybe different ink could save them. The jury watched the punch again in slow motion, then watched my kids say the line again in their heads. Verdict came quick. Guilty on aggravated assault of a minor abuse of authority in a custodial setting and intentional harm. Sentencing 48 hours later, 9 years, no early parole. I didn't cheer. Some justice is too heavy for noise. The story could have ended there. Gavel cuffs headlines. It didn't. A federal subcommittee convened on aviation safety and employee conduct. No cameras, just 12 lawmakers' transcripts, and a table that felt colder than it looked. Judge Durham spoke like a metronome. Jason admitted what he had been told to stamp and bury. I walked them through a map of rot. Resolved with no action legacy crew protected, even when children were involved. Complaint language designed to minimize kids because kids are unreliable witnesses. One memo said the quiet part almost out loud. By the time the chair banged his gavel, Aerovista's CEO had already drafted a resignation letter, and a national audit had begun to review how airlines handle complaints involving minors and disabled passengers. The market did what markets do, punished the stock. But this was never about a ticker. 6 months later, they cut a ribbon on a small room in Terminal C. Bright colors, soft chairs, shelves of books with little stickers that read, "Donated by KH Initiative." 2 staffers trained to notice the small tremors kids carry when they travel alone. Someone named it the Keon Heart Lounge. My son hates ceremonies, but he walked inside crouched by a quieter kid and showed him how to click a seatbelt without pinching your fingers. Click. A sound that used to make me tense now felt like a promise. A reporter asked me how it felt to see justice. "It feels like work," I said, "and it feels like the right people finally did their jobs." People ask if Clark is sorry. Maybe, maybe not. That's between him and whatever keeps him company at night. Mine is to make sure kids like mine are heard the first time. Heads up. This story is fictionalized to protect identities and to make the conversation bigger than one flight, one man, one punch. But if you've ever been told to watch your tone when all you were doing was being human, you know this isn't fiction at all. You know what I mean? Authority is supposed to protect the smallest voice in the room. When it doesn't, the rest of us have to show up with cameras, with testimony, with motion maps and memos, and the word unprovoked standing tall in the middle of a sentence. So here's where I hand it to you. Was the sentence fair or not enough? Where is the line between authority and abuse when a uniform is involved? If you've flown alone as a kid or watched someone in power use it to make a child smaller, tell me what you saw. Drop your take. Agree, push back, bring your own story. I read every comment. And if you stand for dignity, protection, and consequence, hit subscribe, so this isn't just a video that ends at the gate. It becomes a line that more of us hold the next time someone tries to make a kid's voice smaller than a cup of apple juice.